Hello and welcome back to another All Things Microsoft 365 Compliance podcast. I'm Ryan Murphy, Compliance Practice Leader Epic, and of course, I'm joined by Nikki. Hi, Nikki.
Hi, thank you, Ryan. So I'm Nikki Chappell. I'm an MVP and the Principal Cloud Architect at Cloudway. And today we're really honoured. We've got a great guest all the way from Germany, or virtually from Germany. Let me hand you over to Raphael Koellner.
Hello, Nikki. Hello, Ryan. Thank you very much for the invitation. My name is Raphael Koellner. I'm the CEO of the Koellner Service GmbH. That's a compliance company, so we will talk about compliance. I'm very happy. I'm also MVP and one of the 120 regional Microsoft regional directors, and also in the area of compliance. And yeah, let's have a lot of fun. Thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome. And today we're going to talk about insider risk management. What that means for your organization, the things to think of before you start adopting, knowing your data, understanding the policies, understanding the analytics of insider risk management, and more importantly, Raphael's going to share some industry insights from where he's worked previously.
Okay, so I think really the first question is, what is insider risk management for those people that are scratching their head and not heard of the term before?
That's a very interesting question, because I think insider risk management is one of these tools. Not all people in the company know what it is, and most companies don't. They have a licensing, but they don't know what to do with it. So if you have a look in the Microsoft Compliance Center, everyone knows data classification. Okay, that's fine. Record management, data lifecycle. Okay. And then communication compliance, insider risk, PRIVA. Okay, what we have to do with these tools, we will see. So you have an UI and you know, okay, there's something with insider risk, and the most of the people, I think they don't know what it is and why they need it. And so that's a very interesting thing that, and I love it that you said, okay, let's make a podcast about it. But I think we have to talk about it. So what is, and there's a question, what is insider risk? All of us, we know we are working in companies, we are working for customers, and if we have a view to all of our employees, you can say 1 of 10 employees can be an insider. So insider means that's a guy or woman or whatever is sitting in the company and talking to the competitor, for example. Mostly it's not a thing that the guy, for example, go to the competitor and said, okay, I know something and I want to work for you, or I give me some money for that. It's often they are talking because someone out of the competitor talking with is a family member, or you know it from a conference, and a lot of information that have to stay in the company going away. So going to the competitor, going to other companies outside, and yes, we have different people, different kinds of insiders, and we all know 1 of 10 people, we can say 1 of 10 people in the company are an insider or can be an insider. Not the heaviest level or the heaviest one. There's a statistics that you can say, okay, 1 of 100 are one of these heaviest ones. So they give internal information to the competitors or to national regulation companies or whatever. So we have to decide, is it an insider or is it a whistleblower? So in Europe, for example, a whistleblower, that's okay, but for a company, it's also an insider talking to the regulation companies, talking to national authorities about insider information. And so we have insiders, we have to live with it. So we have insiders in the company, and on the other side, when you have a look into the statistics, it's very expensive. Yeah. That is very, very expensive, because mainly insiders are in positions, in key positions, so that they know a lot of. And for example, when you talk with your friends, and one of them mostly is an insider too, because he's switching the company, and what the people do, they have information from the old company and bring them to the new company. So I know that a lot of people, for example, in the last weeks, and this is also statistic, downloading gigabits of data of their current company and bring them to the new company. So as a knowledge, not knowledge in your mind, that's fine. You can't restrict this. You have an NDA, but that's okay. But your knowledge and your mindset, that's fine. But bringing data, and that's what we have to find. We have to find these people, and we have to prevent, for example, downloading information in the last weeks of your contract. And that's very, very interesting, because for me, it's a little bit when we use insider risk tools, or when we are here and you are a part of a compliance team, you have to find these insider. It's a little bit like Sherlock Holmes. No one knows, are you an insider or not? So when I look in your eyes, I don't know. It can be, we don't know it. So you have to be like Sherlock Holmes and have to look at it. And there are tools, and this is insider risk management or insider risk compliance tool in Microsoft 365 in the Compliance Center, which helps you. For me, it's not the only one, but it helps you to find the insider or find actions, insider risk events like this.
You can categorize that, can't you? And then basically say, this is theft by departing users, essentially. This is people that, like you said, they're moving from one business to another, but they consume, and freelance contractors usually get a bad name for this. They're pulling data, or they're using their own laptops. Businesses allow them to use their own laptops. They're pulling data down from SharePoint. They're creating documents that have sensitive information in. They close the laptop on their last day. They go to the next company and they have all the artifacts that they've brought from the original company, right?
Correct.
And it's all about that risk, isn't it? What happens when that data gets into the wrong hands? It can do some major damage in the organization. Not only is it, if you have, say, like a data breach, and they reckon up to 25% of data breaches are by insiders. If that gets in the public domain, you've got that loss of trust, you've got that reputational damage that can then have a knock-on effect. Customers leave you, therefore it's hitting your bottom line, your operational and financial impacts. The regulators can shut you down for breaches as well, plus those massive fines. I mean, there was an example, and this is just an American one, where there was lawyers that were stealing all the sensitive files to share with a competitor. They were doing that over a 4-month period, and they were trying to be clever by double deleting all of the emails they were sharing. Now, that did get found out through some sort of security incident later on, but had they had something like the insider risk management tool, it would have picked up that unusual behavior, or you could have put policies in to block. Now, what happened with that legal company? They had to stop trading. Because you're in a position of trust there. You're never going to take your business to a legal company if they're selling your secret somewhere else. So that's the ultimate impact, is it's a loss of your business. So it's so important that it needs to be top of mind.
And we have a lot of examples in the market in the last month with this, and also with legal companies, and we have some big legal companies that they have these issues, and this is a real life scenario. But often, what I think, and I'm very interested in your opinion, what I think is it's a very sensitive topic to find insider, to talk with insider, what you do when you find someone, and often I see that a lot of companies said, okay, I close my eyes and my ears, and I don't want to hear and see it, because when we start with this and when we work with this, we have to take care of the consequences. So to find someone, but when we don't know that someone downloaded the data and bring it to the other ones, we can say, okay, we do everything what we can do, and we don't have insiders, but in reality, there are people taking information, and I think that's very sensitive.
And I think what you said about being really careful, I think it's really important. This isn't just an IT project, it's critical that you've got, you know, the key stakeholders. You need to have your internal legal departments involved, and critically your HR department. And, you know, it's got to be sensitively managed. You know, there's a two-way thing here. I have conversations with companies and they're saying, well, our employers won't like it that we're kind of effectively spying on their data.
Yeah.
But actually most organisations have got policies in place to say we have the right to scan your information, etc. But then what happens if you do potentially find someone? They may have a legitimate reason for managing that data. So you've got to have skilled people to be able to investigate it, to say, you know, is this an issue? Is this a risk and needs escalating? Or is this actually a false positive? We haven't got our business rules quite right and we'll just adjust our policies.
Yeah, correct. That's one of the best ideas when you work with the HR and legal department. But in reality, it's often we have this licensing, please use these because we pay for it. And often it's the IT guys, they're sitting there. Okay, we implement insider risk. What do we do now? It's a little bit like when you implement data lifecycle retention policies, retention labeling, and you go to the department and said, okay, which timeline I have to configure? I don't know. You are the IT department, configure it. No, we can configure, but we know the information, which timeline we have to configure. We have to beware, for example, a contract 10 years, 6 years, or whatever. When we have to freeze, yeah, you're the IT guys, we have to do it. And that's a very heavy issue and challenge when you have to do this typical principle we have to learn every day with our customers with insider risk. Because Nikki, I'm totally agree. It's a HR legal compliance officer project. The configuration is 5 minutes, 6 minutes, whatever. Make a Power Automate workflow behind it and make a connection to your HR tool, ready. But the oftenest, and when I implement, for example, insider risk management at a European and on the other hand on a worldwide finance institute, we have the question, what now? So we implement it, we configure it out of the IT department, and then what now? We get results. What do we have to do now with the results? So, and no one knows. Oh, maybe go to compliance officer. The compliance officer, it's legal. Legal said it's HR. You know what I mean? So you have the cycle and you have to find the right people. What happened with the consequences? But I don't want to say that it's every time the same project. On the other side, you have projects that the compliance team comes to you and said, we need this insider risk and communication compliance because we have to fulfill, and this is the positive way of thinking about insider risk, we have to fulfill regulatory. For example, in Germany and also in Europe, we have regulatory in trading, in the finance sector. There is regulatory, for example, that is allowed that you control and check your communication. Because when you administrate a company with all their tasks and money and all of the thing, and at the same time you trade with their with the company and with the what called Aktien not tax. You know what I mean? You trade with the with part of the company, for example, selling to other companies and all of these. And in this situation, you need insider risk and communication compliance to check that the people they brought a part of the company, for example, or
acquisitions and mergers.
Yeah. For example, all of these, and then you have to say, okay, we have to control that the same people don't trade with part of the company and administrate the company at the same time. And for these, to fulfill these regulations, you need these tools, for example, and you have to configure keywords that you said, okay, these are the name of the companies, these are the name of the employees in this company, because at the end, when you have insider trading, that's also forbidden. And you have to find these insiders in trading with goods and trading with all of these parts of the company, we have to think about it and we have to find them. So that's also often that companies in the finance sector said, okay, no, we don't have insider trading here. But we all know that insider trading is a huge risk, because when you know 2 weeks before this company has no money to pay the employees, or this company will sell to another company. For example, 3 weeks before that Microsoft will buy OneTrust, for example. Maybe it will happen. So, and you buy part of the company, you are in the trading market with this, you will earn a lot of money.
So you're talking about eradicating a conflict of interest with communications compliance and building out policies there where groups of people, and you can monitor their conversations, right? So you can actually put keywords in, sensitive information types in to detect for words like acquisition, merger, or even the competitor's business that you're buying. That gives you a whole holistic view inside of communications compliance of who's triggered these particular keywords in these groups and so on and so forth. That gives you that ability to manage that conflict of interest.
Correct, and this is a question, and also, sorry, Nikki, this is a question. Do we have to use communication comments in insider risk together? Do we need before data classifications? That is often a question. How we start, what we need to configure this tool, or what we need to use these tools.
Yeah, and I think it is right. We were talking about this on the previous podcast. It's the first thing is, you can't govern or protect what you don't know. So it all comes back down to that business scenario. What are the use cases? Just having a tool is not going to help you at all. You need to know what is your data you need to protect. Who are the at-risk users? What type of information do you need to scan for in the communication? Is it a regulatory requirement, or is it just for good business practice? You want to not have harassment or bullying. You need those clearly defined rules to actually start building it up.
So what we can see, if you want to start with insider risk, it's not your first project in the company. When you don't have any compliance tools, no data classification, no information sensitive types, no DLP, and then start with insider risk, no. Please make your homework first and then start with insider, out of my view, on my perspective, then start with communication compliance and insider risk. And you need to prepare your company because often I see, and I have one of these projects, we start with insider risk. So it was the first project in the compliance center. Really? And yes, but in the configuration also we get often the question, do you have DLP rules? No. Okay, we will start with DLP rules. Then next one, do you have sensitive information types? Do you have word list of word? No. Okay, we start with information. So at the end we starting with data classification, DLP rules, and then with insider risk, and often in combination with communication compliance, because we for me, to find the insiders, to find the illegal trader with shares and all of this, the insider, we have, out of my perspective, we need more information. So as in Sherlock Holmes in your company to find the insider, you need a lot of information, and you have to combine information, all of this. And this is what insider risk management try to do. Give you a tool with AI to combine information, or to combine and find events that can be an insider. Yeah. What I find is in one of these companies, they working in the finance sector, and with this case with insider trading and playing with the shares and trade with the shares of the companies they administer and all of this, we implement insider risk, and one of 100 results, it isn't an insider. So you have false true also. So not every result is an insider. So you need a compliance team, and that's for me was very, very interesting and a very great learning, that you can't say like in Defender tools, for example. You said, okay, this is an attack on a PC. this is a virus, this is Trojaner, this is an attack on the phone, for example, and this is a DDoS attack or whatever. Correct. 99% this is a DDoS attack. But as an insider, it can be an insider for a high level of 90%, but it must be an insider. Often I see these insiders that said, okay, we found an insider. At the end, it was the CEO. I said, okay, it was a general manager CEO. He can't be an insider. Sorry, that's the boss of the company. Yes, he can also be an insider, but when he and it was very interesting because we found that the CEO is an insider because they talk to another company for due diligence process. So he want to sell the company to another. So yes, it was okay, but the event was an insider event. But when you see why, it was a typical business case. So it was fine.
And I think this is why it's so important that it's not just an IT project, because you're right, with insider risk, it's looking at those artificial intelligence, it's looking at the pattern with your file. So it's looking at, are you sharing things externally? Are you downloading them, and download on a computer or USB drives, or copying them to other cloud storage? And so it's really important to review and reiterate those rules. You get your first cut. So you say, these are the sensitive data types. These are the things that are important to me. This is what I want to track. Here's my priority users. And that's where you can kind of put a higher score on more at-risk users, such as people who are about to leave the organization, people that have got access to highly privileged information. Try it out and then review. And it's as you go through, your percentages get higher. But you need qualified people at the end of the day, every time there's an alert, to actually say, what is it? Do we think that this is a high enough risk that we're going to create a case for it and do a proper investigation? Or is it because our rules aren't quite right, or the person had a genuine need to do that activity? And that's not skills that somebody in IT will necessarily have.
Correct, Nikki. And this is very interesting when you think in these topic. I have a great discussion, and I bring this discussion into this podcast with a customer. They asked me, okay, when we start with insider risk, and they work with insider risk 6 months, then they come to me and said, okay, Raphael, I think we need a data analyst in our team. We don't need the compliance officers. We need 1 compliance officer, but we need 2 data analysts. That's more important. And now have a look on the market and find a compliance data analyst. No. The data analysts you find in the market are working for huge companies or in the finance sector in other departments, but not in the compliance department. And then in one of these finance companies, we asked the other departments, for example, the trading party, and said, okay, can we get one of your data analysts to our compliance department? No, we are working here in another department, in another sector. We don't want to work for compliance. But at the end, it's very interesting, the discussion, which people do you need in your team for insider risk? So we talked about HR. Fine. We talked about legal. Yes, we need it. So consequences, often legal consequences. So you have to go out of the company, you break your NDA. That's legal. HR, legal, 1 guy or woman out of the compliance team, and then 1 or 2 data analysts. And that was a learning what I don't find in the Microsoft documentation, for example. They are talking about HR, legal, compliance people in the team, but they don't talk about data analysts. You have to find people, they analyze the data in the correct way. So you find the detectives of insiders, and often I said, okay, maybe because we don't find someone for insider risk analyst, we combine it with communication compliance and bring it as a part of the SOC CM center. That can be an idea. So as we said, okay, we need a data analyst as SOC CM, but a special group, 2 people of the SOC CM center are data analysts in compliance, because we have the same signals. And that was a way to find someone to help the compliance team to analyze the data. That's the same in communication compliance. You need to find this one message that say, okay, this is a forbidden event. This is what we need to prevent. And often you don't chat. For example, I'm the insider and I chat to Nikki, and Ryan, you're my team member, and I don't go to Nikki and chat, hey Nikki, I have secret information here and here it is, and I send it to you. No, I send, hey Nikki, it's nice to see you. Let's drink a coffee with me. You know what I mean? So you need to find the right information that on the first view are no insider events. And on the other side, you find insider events that on the second view are no insider events, like with the CEO. They want to sell his company to another company. So for me, an idea or a hint is bring data analysts in your team.
Yeah. And would you also see this linking in with e-discovery as well? Because again, that's the same type of skills required, isn't it? It's all about that information architecture, isn't it? You've got to understand how Microsoft 365 works, where all the different data sources are. You've got to be able to create those queries to kind of filter it down, isn't it, and find that subset of data.
That's correct. Insider risk, communication compliance, content search, e-discovery are mosaics of the full set of the picture, because I have at the end or in the last minute I have an example. It's a real life example. I got a help email from a company that said, okay, please Raphael, we know our competitor knows exactly what we do in the same moment after the meeting, and I don't know why. I was okay. Now I'm Raphael the detective. And we think about it, how it can work. We are email. That's the first thing. Email, chat, we don't find anything. We use insider risk, we find nothing. We use communication compliance, we find nothing. And we have a look with e-discovery, and then we have a look at the Power Automate workflows. And at the Power Automate workflows, we find something. What we find is the Power Automate workflows. And I see your faces, and I know that you think that you know what I mean. There was a guy. He created an Automate workflow that every attachment of an email will be downloaded to OneDrive and then to a Google Docs or to a Dropbox container in the same moment with Power Automate. So they automate the insider trading information to the competitor.
Wow.
And that was very heavy to find.
Wow.
And we don't have insider risk management. We have the beginning of communication compliance. We have MCAS and we have e-discovery. And only in the combination of this, we find the guy, because we find the Power Automate workflow.
Wow. He took a lot of thought to get that data out of the environment. That is pure filtration.
Correct. And can we say it? Okay, we say it. It's a podcast, and no insider hear these podcasts, so we can talk about it. What is the best option today? So the option was creating your Power Automate workflow to share information automatically to your competitor. It's an intelligent idea, because you can sit near to Ryan. We are the company members. Nikki is the outsider. We sit together, and I do nothing. And in this moment, you're sending an email. It's sent to Nikki, and I do nothing. I sit near to you, and you don't know that I'm the insider. And today, with insider risk and with the reports in Power Automate and MCAS, you find these guys. That's okay. But what you can do today, also that no one finds you. Where's the black hole in insider risk and communication compliance? It's a very great question. Can you guess?
I would have said Power Automate.
Black hole.
I know that in if you send audio messages in Teams chats, that they're not being discovered.
Monitored.
Okay. Yeah, so it's really important that you switch those up.
Yeah, Nikki, perfect. You are the the first woman, the first people when I asked this question said, no, that's
Now I'm
audio.
worried about
That's
making.
correct, Nikki. Nikki, love you, very perfect. Because yes, that it is. When you share an audio message, when you make a phone call with SBC, and I make a phone call to Nikki and said, hey, my secret information are this. No one recognized. And this is the reason, for example, for me to activate transcription every time in every meeting, to activate transcription and hopefully we will have transcription in phone calls too in the future. Because when we activate transcription, the compliance tools like insider risk and communication compliance with OCR and all of this can check it. So with OCR, yes, we can send a screenshot, a JPEG to Nikki. We find this guy because of OCR. But audio, no. So we hopefully in the future we will have transcription, and that's often I have discussion with working council and data privacy. No transcription, we don't want. At the end, I said we want transcription. We want to know what happened there, so we need transcription. And this is I think one of the main points. We need some tools that insider risk is working very fine, and we need some people that insider risk works very fine.
Great story. Great story. It's always a joy listening to these stories, Raphael.
It's very interesting, or it's like Sherlock Holmes. Next year we wrote a book with stories about compliance or like this. That's a detective story of your life or like this.
And I think it's also interesting that we have to also consider sometimes some of the new functionality and applications coming into Microsoft 365, because not everything is governed by the compliance center. So, you know, if you're working in Teams, Yammer, SharePoint, OneDrive, and email, those types of resources are covered, but you do need to consider some of the other applications may not be putting information in. So I think
Kaisala. Kaisala, for
Yeah.
example, but okay, Kaisala will end next year. But yes, Nikki, correct. Yeah. And last thing, and I want to say this because it's a new feature of insider risk and communication compliance. Hopefully you tested it, and this is one of my next favorite features, is you can report a problem. Do you see this in Teams, for example, in a Teams chat?
Yes,
You can put in and
said
report a problem. And this is the first rule that automatically will implement in communication compliance and will work also when you implement it, also in insider risk. So people can say anonymously, there's an issue. So you don't see who click it. And for me, it's a little bit of this whistleblower regulations, and also on the other side, you get you have a way into the tool that someone can say, okay, we have a problem here, and the insider team and the analytic team can say, okay, we have to look a little bit deeper. And it's, for me, these things currently, these manual things and the help of your employees is a little bit better than the automatically AI today. Hopefully in the future AI will be better, but today this can be a good idea. But on the other hand, it's a very great tool. It works. You get information. But on the other hand, we have to think one more about the culture of the company. Do we want this tool in combination of our culture and the company, that everyone is spying to each other? No, I think we don't want this. So
that's a good point.
It's a very, very, out of my perspective, it's a very, very sensitive topic to communicate what you do there. So I have also, last case, I have also a case, for example, in a company that said, okay, we start with Teams, we start with communication compliance to fulfill regulations and to have a look that the people fulfill the code of conduct of the company. So no harassment and all of this, they don't want this. And at the end, the customers of the company see this and said, okay, we don't buy any goods of this company because they spy their employees. So we have communication internally to have the right culture in the company. And what I said is we have the tool as a support. Culture is more important for me. So I like tools, but culture in your company is more important. And on the other side, be aware of your customers, that the communication is in the right way. So insider risk at the end for me is a tool that supports your fulfilling of regulation, that supports you to give you a tool or give your employees a tool that helps you to support your ideas of a good culture in the company. You don't, for me is, and every customer I said, don't implement insider risk because you have the license. Implement insider risk because you have an idea of a culture in your company and you want to support this idea to a full set of information, compliance, sensitive information, working with them and to a good culture. So the best culture in the company is the key, is better than every tool. That's also a learning.
Yeah, agreed.
It all comes back down to people, process,
Yeah.
then technology, isn't it? And it's managing risk at a corporate level. You know, what is the risk of not implementing insider risk? Do you have an issue with it? Is it widespread across the company, or is it just in a particular area? Because you can focus it in, and it is balancing that corporate risk level, and then having the user adoption key message. Why does it need to be done? You know, what's the impact on the organization? And then at the end, you've got insider risk management and communication, compliance, configuration.
Correct. So at the end, in our situation of I'm the colleague of Ryan and Nikki, you are the guy, the woman outside, and I share information with you. Yes, it's good that the manager and the compliance team see that I share information with you, Nikki, but the best thing is that I stop my work is when Ryan said, "Hey, Raphael, that's not a good action word, not a good event what you do there. Raphael, let's drink a beer and we forgot this." No? You know what I mean? That's
absolutely.
So,
friends in work.
Yeah, friends work more. So yes, it supports you, but culture and friends
absolutely
is the key for me.
Well, thank you ever so much for joining us on the podcast today. I'm sure we could have carried on talking for another 3 or 4 hours, quite easy, just about insider risk, let alone the rest of the purview world. So we'd welcome you back at another time if you want to come and talk about another topic, because as I say, they've got, I think, plenty of education and awareness to share with their audience and wisdom. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Raphael.
Thank you very
Always
much.
a pleasure.
Okay.
Cheers.
Thank you, and that's the end of the podcast today. See you next time.
Next time. Bye-bye.